to take a call and listened very carefully to the introduction by the Minister of the bill, and I did try and figure out what was urgent about this bill, because if it was so urgent, we would not only be doing the second reading of the bill, but we would be completing it into its final stages. So one has to wonder what the government's underlying agenda is with specific regard to the Customs and Excise bill. I do want to comment also, of all the bills that have been pushed through under this urgency motion, the Customs officials actually present in the House, which shows the diligence of the Customs Service to ensure that whatever they put their hand to, they're doing good work. Now, the comments that I have to make are really with regard to the sophisticated nature of the way in which Customs is currently working at the border, but also in terms of the backroom function. So the fact that the government is continuing to pursue a joint border management system bodes well for an integrated border service of all our various agencies. The number of issues that I want to bring the attention of the House to are really, in summary, aspects that I think are improvements. The point was made previously that we are happy to support the bill, and with specific regard to the issue of information sharing at the border and the way in which Customs and MAF can work better together. I suspect, although it was an omission in previous legislation, the opportunity to strengthen information sharing between Customs and MAF will lead to some operational efficiencies that can only improve risk profiling and identifying how better at border services can be conducted. But I have this particular question around the operational efficiency. New Zealand was in a position where we had 100% X-ray of, for example, passenger luggage at the airport, and if that is going to change, then it is absolutely necessary that MAF and Customs are sharing information, identifying potential areas of risk in terms of places of origin of where passengers are coming from. It will require not only border agencies sharing information, but a better arrangement with airline companies as well, so that they're sharing their passenger records and that you're able to conduct more comprehensive risk profiling. In my small time managing this portfolio, we had some vociferous objections from some airline agencies to release the records, and went through quite a convoluted process, and at the time it was still marginally unresolved. So I just want to highlight that information sharing, while necessary of the border agencies, absolutely necessary, in order to be a comprehensive risk profiling assessment, it does have to include the airlines as well, to make sure that information is comprehensively included into an at-border strategy of this nature. Now, there were, in the minor amendments, I noted probably about 4 particular amendments that would be useful to business. Firstly, the point outlined previously about no excise on domestic biofuel production, and clarifying that within the legislation. That's very helpful. It's much the same type of clarification that exists in the way that we treat tobacco for personal consumption, and excise not being charged there. I do think that the issue raised by my colleague Damien O'Connor is a very valid one, and it may be one that, in terms of further policy work, could be a useful approach to forecasting where the opportunity could be in biofuel production for domestic use on farming operations. I think that's an absolutely valid point, and should at some part in this debate at least be responded to or acknowledged. The other point is to of the technical amendments, enabling goods to be imported in multiple shipments to be managed as if they were a single shipment. That will be an improvement to the way in which things are accounted for now, and business will welcome that. Also allowing for the making of regulations to define the point at which an export entry is deemed to have been made, and providing the specific method for calculating the value of temporarily imported goods at the time of exportation. Those specific amendments I can see are very useful, and business will welcome that. Can I say, with regards to the issue of improving administrative and petty offence provisions of the Customs Excise Act, this does give the Chief Executive powers to be able to set penalties more in line with the times, and I think that again is a useful enhancement of the legislation, and it also updates and modernises the penalty provisions in line with offences that are being caused. So very useful technical amendments there. On the last point, and I want to come back to the issue of information sharing at the border, because information sharing is as good as the systems you have in place. I'm not on the Justice and Electoral Law Select Committee, haven't been a part of the financial review, but would hope that there continues to be a strong platform to invest in the CUSMOD system that Customs has, but also the interoperability of Customs IT systems, immigration system, and the other border agency system, so that they can talk to one another at least, because it's one thing sharing information, but interoperability of IT systems I think is where it needs to get to, and that is going to be a real opportunity, especially with immigration in the first instance. Mr. Speaker, there are a number of issues that were brought up at the Select Committee, and Damien highlighted one of them, and that was with regards to the Minister actually being amenable to information being shared with, for example, the airport company. I'd have a concern about that. I'm absolutely supportive of information being shared for the purposes of risk profiling and maintaining security of New Zealand's interests at the border. But if it's for retail benefits or commercial benefits to an airport company, I can't quite see why the Minister would want information shared for that type of an outcome. Whose interest is it? And it's certainly not the Minister's interest to forward the financial or retail opportunities for any airport, for that matter, for any airport. So I raise a concern on that front, because it was something also highlighted through the submission process. That tends to be the final point on the issue of information sharing, is that in the bill there is a provision for the Chief Executive to review how that has been implemented after 5 years, and that's useful because what we know about a service like Customs is that we should expect at least every couple of years that the Customs and Excise Act will continue to be updated and improved as operational efficiencies arise out of a joint border management system. So we can only expect that the review will bring forward further efficiencies and improvements to the way things are done at the border. Kia ora.